Dabblepoint. A Stuttering John Melendez roundtable discussion.
Rich Voss was on Jim and Sam yesterday on Sirius XM.
He was great, man. He was so funny on that.
So it was so fantastic. And I love the fact that Rich brought up the fact that he put a very simple throwaway tweet out in a thread between John and Chad Zumock, and John reacted like a lunatic, like he always does, because John hates the word middle.
Yeah.
Rich said, I don't usually get involved in middle drama, and John lost his mind, went on his show, trashed Rich Voss, saying he didn't care about the victims of 9/11. I mean, we've covered this. I don't want to get too into it. It's a crazy story if you don't know. But what's great is that Rich went on the Jim and Sam show and brought it up, and they talked about the Dabbleverse and Stuttering John and me and Shuli and all that kind of stuff. And then they changed subjects, and then Sam Roberts brought it back to the Dabbleverse again, which props to Sam for doing that, because he knew, like, this is an interesting topic. We should get more into this.
Yeah. Oh, don't kid yourself. Sam's in this shit.
He's
sitting here pretending, because I think I heard. No, Sam.
I kind of was paying attention with the catalytic converter thing. It's like, Sam, you know everything that's going on. This is great. I love it. But on that episode, Rich said, I did a podcast with Bonnie. My wife hates me. And we talk about it's going to come out this Friday. Well, today's Friday. So the episode has come out. And I wanted to play some of this, and maybe we can. You know what? I have it right here on this tab. We can break this down a little bit.
Yeah, but who would even bring that to the light? Anyhow,
I'm just saying that's like something he feels.
So he went on his podcast.
It's like when people call me fat on Instagram. I go, "Oh shit, I've been found out."
Yeah, and then he went on his podcast, and this is the funny thing too. He's like, "Fuck Rich Voss." This, like, I don't know if he called me a hack, which is the furthest thing in life. And he posts on Twitter pictures of him like headlining like a Laugh Factory somewhere. I headline. All right, I didn't
even know that. John had to prove. So Voss always calls everyone a middle act. That's like his thing. Very funny, and most people just rolls off their back. Like even Chad Zumock was just like, whatever.
No, it's not most people call.
It's everyone.
It's comics.
It's every comic.
It rolls off their back.
Of course. No one cares, but John took offense to it. So John's response, I didn't even know this. He had to post photos of him headlining clubs.
Yeah.
Come on.
His PI opened up the evidence locker and got the stand-up gig photos for him to. I mean, insanity.
He takes things so fucking literally. Hey, literal John, Voss is busting your balls. But actually, Voss didn't know John's a comic, as we're going to find out in just a moment.
Even really know he was a comic.
But
because I didn't even really know he was a comic. Join the club.
How do you think the people felt after the show that they just watched?
Right.
I mean, my God.
Dear Stuttering John, you're not a comic. You used to read ridiculous questions to celebrities that Fred and Jackie and Howard wrote. That was your peak in life.
I didn't know he was a comic. Chad, I worked with him, so I didn't even know. All right.
Well,
and I got to point this out, too, because Rich Voss has been touring the U.S. doing comedy clubs for 4 decades. Like, Rich Voss has been in this game for a long time. And this was the thing when I talked to Chrissy Mayer after the famous "I didn't realize you dabbled in comedy" incident, that Chrissy Mayer is also touring around. She goes, I never see his poster up at clubs. Like, comics know when other comics are out on the road. They see their posters. They go to the club. They see who was there, who's coming up. They see that.
Yeah.
John's not in that. He's not doing that.
No, and Rich, I mean, it's not just clubs. Rich works everywhere, all across the country.
Yes.
Clubs, theaters, he does a lot of AA stuff, big corporate stuff. The guy, I mean, he wrote for the Oscars for Chris Rock. Like, the guy is legit, and for him to bust your balls is a pat on the back.
Correct.
Is Rich saying, you're okay. You're one of us, kind of. Right?
I had Pat Oates on my show. We were playing John freaking out about this, and that was Pat's initial reaction. It's just like, it's amazing he's acknowledging these assholes. Just the fact that Voss is even paying attention to know that they were having a feud and now they're making up, and that's crazy. Like, just be happy about that.
Yeah, be happy that Voss even knows what the fuck's going on between you two. It's like, he's right. Pat's 100% right. The fact that Voss is involved is crazy. But what's funny is he texted me because I sent him a text asking him, you want to come on Rico? And John blew up. And I don't know if he's going to talk about it, actually. I'll let you play the clip.
Yeah, he does. He does address that. Yeah.
Okay.
Now you do. He's made it clear.
I'm a headliner.
You're going to make jokes about me. You're going to make jokes about me being a headliner.
Well, then he brought up on this podcast, which these other guys reviewed. I'll talk about them in a second.
Okay, first of all, there's people that might not know who these people are. Chad Zumach is just...
Yeah, he's just a comic, a road comic.
A middle.
A middle.
And he was like, didn't he go to jail and stuff?
No, there was a thing with him, with whatever, you know. I talked to him on the phone the other day. He did sound good. He did sound like clear-headed, but maybe...
Look at Bonnie's face right there. Rich goes, I talked to Chad. He seems like he's doing well. Bonnie goes, I don't know about that. Because Bonnie's going to tell a little anecdote about being on MLC.
I was on Kevin Brennan's podcast.
Well, how did you get that?
I lucked out. They reached out to me. But it was not fun being on there with him. He was aggravating, to say the least.
Okay. Well,
so
I talked to him on the phone. He sounded. But
it's because he's like in and out of addiction problems.
Well, who knows?
Okay.
Yeah, you know.
So then we got
Bonnie. I've been playing Bonnie drops on WATP for about 6 years now.
What is this garbage? How do they have a podcast? This is bullshit.
Because she really does just say some crazy shit. And like, yeah, I think he went to jail. He's got addiction problems. She just throws the shit out there. It's like, yeah, I was on a podcast with him one time. These are my takeaways from it.
Those two together. I remember going to a live My Wife Hates Me with Ron Bennington as their guest.
Yeah.
And they just fucking destroyed. Like, she's so quick. He's so fucking quick. They're deadly, those two. They really are.
BranDon, you've been in radio your entire life. Should you be talking about people having addiction problems and going to jail? Is that could that be a problem when you broadcast things like that?
I think she knows something we don't. I don't know.
Yeah.
He shut that down pretty quick.
He did, but it seems like she's just ready to make all sorts of allegations here, which...
Let her roll. Let her cook.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
Yeah, what do you want? Let's go.
At Stuttering John, who, if you're not old like us, you might not know, he was on Howard Stern for years.
Then he was on Leno. He was the announcer.
How did he get that?
Yes! Bonnie is killing it right now. You know, that after that, he was on the Tonight Show. Oh, yeah! Oh, I forgot about that. We all did. No one cares. Nice. Isn't this great, CornDiff? I just... And they talked about this on Jim and Sam. When Voss brought this up, they're like, oh, you just entered the Dabbleverse. He's like, well, I don't know what you're talking about. It's like, yeah, these two are all in that right now in the Dabbleverse.
I don't know, maybe because I think Leno and Stern didn't like each other, so he stole him from Stern.
Oh, to try to like,
you know, I think, I don't know, but Stutter and John had
stealing your turd,
like
to get even.
But Stutter and
amazing, fucking amazing.
She's not wrong.
No, she's not. She's got it, and they're actually like, yeah, I'm not sure, but they're pinpoint accurate at this point. They're just sitting there going, oh yeah, he was on Leno. Why was he on Leno? Oh, because Leno and Howard had a thing, and so they hired him away to piss off Howard. Oh yeah. Sounds about right.
John he must have been making decent money with Stern and phenomenal.
I just
money
realized
with
they're probably gonna listen to this and now be mad at everything I'm saying.
Nope.
Now I'm being dragged in.
Well, you're dragged in because
I'm just trying to set it up for people.
Well, so then
I don't care. Don't drag me in. Don't call me fat. That's
right.
what
he also put like I said, pictures of him. I'm a headliner. Whoa, relax.
I think he is a headliner.
So
and Chad Zumach is also a headliner, and I think you're wrong, Rich.
So not only that, he on his podcast, which I didn't listen to until somebody else sent me another podcast reviewing him, which I'll talk about in a second. So he also you
didn't listen to his podcast. You listened to someone else who listened to his podcast.
Reviewing it. And those guys were good.
Because they were 100% on your side. They never
trashed us.
They did not trash you at all.
No, but
from what I heard, it was 100% trash. So of course, that would stand to reason that you're like, these guys are good.
No.
All right. So I wrote down a note when I saw this part of it. I went, maybe I should start praising other podcasts.
Yeah.
I'm doing this all wrong. Here I am bashing podcasts, and then they ignore me. But if I was out there going, this Rich Voss guy, what an amazing podcaster he is. Could be getting some good press out of it.
Yeah. I we all have that thing where if somebody's on your side, you're like, this guy's pretty good. Like we all have
Yeah,
that
right.
list, so that's not crazy. So,
but Bonnie's calling him out for this. But Bonnie, both things could be true. Maybe we did a good job of breaking this down, and we gave Voss a lot of credit. Both things are true on this one.
Oh, no. Okay, wait 1 second. So then in 2001, 9/11 happened, and Stuttering John was doing.
I didn't mean to laugh at 9/11. I was thinking about that you both have speech impediments.
9/11.
You just
Shut
swallow
up.
so hard. Why is it?
No,
why do you
calm
just
down.
own it?
All right, fatso. So,
Oh my God.
What are you?
I guess it's
Come on,
true.
get into the whole
I guess
screen.
it's true.
So I was supposed to do a fundraiser. He asked me the last minute to do this fundraiser at one of Trump's casinos for 9/11. And I said yes, but I
But
was
where are
the
they
last
raising money for the victims of the family?
fireman or something.
Oh, okay.
I was a last minute add-on. I think it was Florentine, Modi, and him, and I was the last minute. Well,
Okay, so I have to tell you guys a story because my buddy Vinny Paulino last weekend just happened to do shows with both Florentine and Voss, and the three of them got together for breakfast one morning, and they were talking about this specific show.
right.
So John's whole thing was Voss doesn't care about victims of 9/11 because he was supposed to be on this charity show we did for 9/11, and he canceled. But
Right.
what's crazy about this is that the show was the week of 9/11. It was like that weekend. Now, I don't know if you guys were alive during 9/11, CornDiff.
I was. Yes.
Yeah.
High
BranDon.
as a kite.
I had plans that weekend too. Yes. It was
Okay,
my
yeah.
sister's wedding.
Okay. So we all remember this time. There wasn't a lot going on, right? There wasn't a lot that was open, a lot of things happening.
Right.
The NFL shut down, the whole thing. So there's no fucking way they organized a benefit show the week of 9/11. So it happened Tuesday morning, and then Friday or Saturday, they already have a benefit show for it. This had to have been booked way in advance of that. And then they turned it into a 9/11 benefit.
Right. Yeah.
Right? Because how else did that even make sense?
Well, I can tell you one thing's for sure. If John wasn't making money on this show, he would not be doing a 9/11 benefit show that weekend. I can promise.
I probably agree with that. I don't know all the facts, but it's probably true. So the fact that they had this show, it was booked, and then they're like, oh, shit, 9/11 happened. Let's make it a 9/11 charity show so we don't look too bad. We don't want to Gilbert Gottfried this. We don't want to seem insensitive. And then they ask Rich to come on it. So in that scenario, Rich is not responsible for ticket sales at all.
No.
These tickets have already been sold. Yeah, it's a last minute addition to the show.
Plus, understand that a lot of these benefits, there's a budget that they have that they use. So paying the talent is part of that budget. It's not like you're telling people I'm doing this for free. You'll get paid, but I've seen comics. I've done benefits where comics have taken the money and given it right back to the people.
You should. Yeah, you should. That's what you should
Yeah.
do. Yep.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't, but I mean,
You don't have to. I mean, if you're Jewish, you don't have to, obviously. But
what about
should.
me? Hello.
It's like when the bachelor party 50-50 raffle, and then you're like,
Right.
nah, we're raising money for you, man. You keep it. It's like,
Exactly.
thanks for the $60. It's amazing.
I think, and I don't even know, I had another date somewhere, but it was on hold because of 9/11. And then they go, okay, we're going to do it. So I had to cancel it, and I was there.
That makes nothing but sense. So Voss is already booked for that weekend. 9/11 happens. They go, hey, Rich, we have a show in Atlantic City. Do you want to be on it? And Rich is like, yeah, I don't know if my show's happening, so sure. And then the show that he already has booked is like, nope, we're actually going to open up. Let's do it. And Rich is like, oh, okay, yeah, that was my first obligation. That's what I have to do.
Absolutely.
There, put in the last minute. Anyhow, he's bringing up on his podcast what a fucking scumbag I am for canceling him 23 years ago.
Yeah.
23. Let it go. I'm living rent free in your head. So,
Oh God, please don't do. those kind of sayings.
They're good sayings.
I know they're just so hacky.
That's hacky, living rent free in your head. You know.
Yes, you say it all the time.
Well, then that means I like the saying.
Yeah. Well,
And
don't.
maybe you don't like. Okay, don't.
It's you know what it is. It's from
So Bonnie was upset that I called them an old bickering married couple, but I mean, what the fuck else are we watching right now? Oh my God, I don't like the way you cut your toenails. Please, you got to stop doing it like that. In the kitchen, come on. All right, this is not a show.
I remember one episode. She goes, "Do you have to breathe that way?"
Yeah,
And I
right.
thought, this is a great show. This is a great show.
It's boring as shit.
I love when she yells
I
at
can't
him.
fucking take it.
Oh, I didn't know that she was the
That's Bonnie.
Yeah.
originator of those. That's great.
Yeah, all of those
Yeah.
drops.
Who fucking cares?
Those are all the first time we reviewed My Wife Hates Me from like 2018 or something like that. This has been going on for a while.
The program. It's from your program. Why do you get so mad? We're just
I'm not
joking
mad. I'm catching
around.
my breath.
Oh my God.
Well, anyhow, so this.
When I was married to Stuttering John, he never got this mad. He was always like a delight.
well,
He finished that podcast, by the way, and was like, that should rev up some fucking views and listens. I like Rich. I don't even care at all.
so then, anyhow,
He's not taking it seriously. He's just doing it. That's
so
what you don't realize.
the
Stop touching the mic, April. Stop moving the microphone, April. So uncomfortable.
same day all this was happening on Twitter. Shuli, who I like, who I'm a fan of,
Was also somehow connected to Howard Stern show.
yeah, and
Somehow.
It's
I think it was a caller or something, right? I can't remember.
like pop-up video. Just these little fun facts. Yeah.
Corey, did you know that Shuli was somehow associated with the Howard Stern show?
I recall hearing about that.
Yeah.
funny guy,
A writer?
comic. I've worked with him.
Was
Funny.
he a writer on the show? Is that what it was?
Who Shuli? He did
was
a
on the
bunch-
show?
a bunch of shit.
Yeah.
but he moved, and you
Moved
know,
on?
big fan of Shuli's. We've worked together. Every time we see him, we talk.
Oh, that's going to piss John off.
But was he a main character?
Yeah.
That's what he keeps calling himself. I was a main character.
He was the phone screener.
Yeah, we were literally talking yesterday, me and him, and I told him, I said, "You
Yeah.
didn't trash the guy, but he's going to be livid with you."
Yep.
I said, "You're in now, just so you know." He goes,
That's all it
"I don't
takes.
want to." I go, "Doesn't matter what you want, Rich. You're in. You're in."
You know, one of the things that really is frustrating about Stuttering John is when he talks about how he's a main character on the Stern show. And one of the things he always cites is that the sales collateral for the Channel 9 show featured him, Robin, and Howard.
Right.
This wasn't something that was made public. It was just sales collateral. And he's like, but
Right.
the photo on the front was us three. So John thinks he was a main character. Now, when John was hired, it was Howard, Robin, Fred, Jackie, Gary, and then John became the sixth person.
Right.
So the Howard Stern show now has like 80 employees. So yeah. It's going to be a little different when there's six. But
Yeah.
the beauty of Howard Stern, this is the thing that John doesn't understand. John makes everyone interesting. Even guys like JD Harmeyer. No offense to JD. But he makes everyone interesting. Ronnie the limo driver, who's not interesting in any single way, becomes a main character on the show because
Wow.
that's the brilliance of Howard Stern.
And I will say, spend some time in a strip club with Ronnie and tell me he's not interesting. Okay, I
Fair
will
enough.
debate you on
Fair
that.
enough. All right.
Yeah.
I don't hang out with Ronnie. I might have
yeah.
missed Scott the engineer.
Oh,
When I
Scott,
listed
for
the
sure.
people,
Scott,
yeah, he
I'll
was
give
there.
you 8 days a week.
He was
Absolutely.
I just mean he was there before John.
Yes.
I think right. Yeah.
Yes.
Just the ego, the level it takes to say that I would just to call it a main character. Like it's like if he was on a movie poster, he'd be like, I'd be up there on the top,
Right.
before it says the name of the movie.
Well, also the main characters don't say that they're main characters, so that should tell you something,
Character.
Howard Stern from the Howard Stern show. You never hear him introduce himself that way.
No.
It's like, no, we get it. Brandon, you've been on morning shows and stuff. Like, one of the things you do is you try to incorporate everyone. The producers get incorporated. Like, everyone who's a part of the show gets mic time, and you try to make them interesting. And you try to bring them in so the audience knows who all the players are.
Sure. Absolutely.
This isn't anything new. But John thinks that for some reason he was such a scary talent.
I just don't. I hate the term main character. I don't know. It
Yeah.
feels weird coming out of his mouth. Main character.
Yeah.
And
somebody
he said,
sent
"We'd
me
like- oh, go ahead. Sorry.
to come on my podcast and discuss what this is the same. I go, no, I'm not getting involved in this. All I do
But
is,
now you are.
but all I do is make a joke. And I text, or on Twitter I went to Stuttering John. Hey, I was joking. Loosen up. All right, it was a joke, and obviously Chad got it. He didn't care. So then Stuttering John writes back, "LOL, I just saw this," right after his whole diatribe, whatever the word
Right.
is. So anyhow, this
Hey,
podcast.
you had it right there, Rich. Get confidence, stupid. Yeah, you actually figured it out.
Well, now they're going
with
to come for me.
The name of
I take back everything I said.
who are these podcasts? Reviewed it all, and I think they've trashed us. I think they called us.
If they haven't, they should. They
think-
should trash this podcast.
Stop touching the microphone, buddy. Stop it. I love this thing like trashed us. We reviewed your show and we found some flaws.
Yeah.
A couple things
Like
you could have done better. That's all.
Yeah, I like how Carl sets it up. Like sometimes we really love the podcast we're reviewing.
Yeah, right. Could you imagine? Oh, that's happened a couple of times. The most famous one was Michael Rappaport because Andy and his brother came over, and the show format at WATP. It's like, let's rag on this podcast. They come over, they're like, yeah, what about this fucking guy? I'm like, I love him. He's great.
You're not charismatic.
I was just like, no, I think everything about this show is hilarious, and I really enjoyed it.
love Mike.
I really sandbagged those guys with that one.
I think they called us a
Like-
bickering couple or something.
I hate when people do that.
I know, but anyhow, they were reviewing the whole.
Reminds me of listening to my parents. Were your parents ever this funny? Go.
I didn't say that, by the way, Bonnie, just so you know. I said you were a bickering couple. I didn't say you reminded me of my parents.
Sorry.
The head of that podcast.
People think this is easy to do. This
When
ain't
I-
easy.
I think when I was in Rochester, a guy
Living
that-
with this man.
when I was in Rochester, I think that Vinny, who has a podcast up there, I think he said, "You don't like those guys." I go, "I don't even know them, but maybe I don't."
Who?
The one that reviewed us.
Oh,
Pay attention! Who are these podcasts we're talking about?
I
Those
mean,
guys
in
you
Bonnie's
don't
defense, it's a tough follow.
No, I know. I understand. It's a lot going on.
I don't know if I do or don't. I don't even know if I.
well, you liked him yesterday or the day before.
Well, the
Whenever
guy-
we listened, boss is better than all of them, and you're like, this guy knows his shit.
Well, I mean, when it comes to comedy, he's saying, the guy who's the main guy on Who Are These Podcasts? He was good. The guy, I'm not going to lie, the guy was carrying his podcast. He had some other comic who was a guest on, probably a middle.
By the way, Voss is very good here. He's doing a very good job. He's good. He's making a lot of good points right now. I don't know if you guys have picked up on that.
All right.
I mean, CornDiff, Voss is doing a good job right now. Am I wrong? This is
He's
Pretty good stuff.
Yeah, I mean, he's talking pretty good about it.
making some good points.
Yeah, CornDiff's pissed. He hasn't mentioned him yet. He's not going to give
Yeah.
him his prop.
You got to go pretty deep into WATP to get into CornDiff.
And, he was showing clips from Stuttering John. He was, going over the whole thing, it was a fucking joke. So he was good. I'm not going to lie. Even if they trash our podcast, which I'm sure they have, but they can never trash your stand-up or my stand-up because we're fucking amazing. But the guy was good. Anyhow, he reviewed the whole thing. And I'm like, a lot of people do not like this Stuttering John guy.
Brilliant observation right there. That is correct, sir. You just nailed it.
Again, it highlights the difference between a comic and a non-comic.
Yeah.
He goes, yeah, they probably trashed us, and whether he hears it or not, I'm sure he'll take it. It won't ruin his day. He won't make it his life's mission to go after you, to dig up pictures on your family or friends. Like, it's, I mean, forget comic. It's just a normal human being reaction.
Yeah, no shit.
And the latest, which is criminal records, finding criminal records for everybody
my
that you
God.
hate and everybody that is involved in the Dabbleverse, and then threatening to read it line by line. That's bizarre.
Yeah. It's a weird thing to do because it's not funny or entertaining. The other thing that John's been doing, So he always calls out people who didn't graduate high school or didn't graduate college. But then I do have a bachelor's degree, but I didn't go to a good enough college in John's mind. So he calls me out for that.
It's always something. It's almost
It's always
like,
something.
you know?
Yeah, you can't win with this guy.
You can't.
Like, what did he do to piss the whole fucking world off? I don't know, because I'm not involved in that whole big drama bullshit. You know, we're fucking headliners, which is obvious. So I don't.
I want to point this out, too, because I don't like drama being used in reference to the Dabbleverse. Like, this is a roast. what we're doing right here is a roast. Like, none of us are butthurt about anything that's going on, except for John. John's the only one who thinks this is drama.
Yeah.
The rest of us are having fun.
It's a great point. It's like the guy you've been roasting all night has a chance to come up and get everybody back, and he just starts reading court transcripts. And you're like, this was supposed to be a fun roast. What happened?
John comes up at the end, and he's like, "Oh, my feet smell? Well, you didn't pay a parking ticket."
Yeah, he's got an easel. He's like, "Let's take a look at his daughter," and he like moves the thing up. What happened?
It's insane. Oh my gosh. I don't know if we're going to get to this because this is going longer than I thought it was going to go. But Ray DeVito was on his show and Ray looked like a hostage.
First of all, he looked like someone who's been held hostage for 33 years.
Yes.
He's aged like a president, I said. He looks terrible.
He looks like a hostage on John's show. They're having zero fun. And John is mad at Ray for doing Hackamania. Because he goes, how could you do a show with Patrick Melton who's talking about people's families? John has posted photos of my extended family, my sister, my parents made fun of my dad having cancer. And John has the balls to go back, this guy's making fun of people's families and you're doing a show with them?
Yeah. And I quote, Kevin, I know where your kids go to school. Yeah. That's a quote.
He's insane.
Go down to that, you know. So again, Chad the other day texted me. I said, "Do you want to go on Stuttering John's podcast?" He's still mad that you canceled him in 2001. So I went, and no. I don't care if I'm not going on this podcast to talk about a show I canceled 23 years ago. So it's a lot of drama. But look, we have our own lives. You guys live your lives. Don't involve us. I said a joke. It's only a joke.
It's not drama, boss. We're with you, buddy. We're all having fun.
Though. Come on, it sucks that he has to address something that happened 23 years ago over this asshole.
He doesn't have to. Like, no one was mad at Voss. John thought he had this big gotcha. No one was going, wait, Rich did what?
Well, we'll hear if he changed his tune Sunday night when Rich Voss joins us.
Oh!
Uncle Rico. No, I don't know.
I was going to say, I'm booked for Sunday night at Uncle Rico, so I was excited.
Yeah, I'm going to reach out. I'm going to, hey.
Well, he said he's not going to do it.
I'm going to talk to him. I'm going to talk to
all
him.
right, fair enough. See what you can do.
Yeah.
So this came out today, which is great. Posted in Dabblers Anonymous. Thank you for that. And then someone in Dabblers Anonymous in the thread reminded us of Kurt Metzger a year ago. This is fantastic.
So, I hate to use the word dabble because that got Chrissy Mayer in trouble with Stuttering John.
Chrissy got in trouble. You know, I know Chrissy for years. She got in trouble for saying dabble.
She was interviewing. I think it was the funniest thing ever. Like,
why is that bad?
She was. It's not bad. She was interviewing Stuttering John Melendez, and she's all, so you still dabble in comedy? And he got all fucking bent out of shape over it. He super bent out of shape for it.
What did he think that meant?
It's got lore. I think he thought that she didn't respect him as a comedian.
Oh, none of us do. Why would we ever possibly respect him?
Because he knows that it got to him. So and then of course you guys are just.
Oh, she just said it, and I bet she wasn't even trying to be.
She wasn't trying to say it. No.
She's not mean.
No, she's not. She's not mean. It's funny.
Kurt Metzger. That's the greatest line ever. I think that he felt he wasn't respected as a comedian. Yeah, no one respects John as a comedian. Why would we?
I think a lot of comics will say Kurt doesn't always speak for all of us, but in that case, yes.
In that case, we're with you.
Yeah.
Point Dabblepoint. A Stuttering John